Before you even get out of bed, your reality is being shaped. You reach for your phone, open a feed, and an invisible string of code decides which news stories and friend updates you see first. On your drive to work, a different set of instructions calculates the fastest route, actively rerouting around traffic jams before you spot them. And when you apply for your next promotion, there is a very high probability that a machine will scan your resume and decide if you are worth interviewing long before a human ever sees your name. We rarely question these systems. Humans have a tendency to view computers as neutral umpires, assuming that because they run on math, they operate free of human prejudice and emotion. But this reliance creates a massive vulnerability. We have to ask what happens to society when this foundational objective math is flawed. A 2016 survey of over 1,300 technology builders and analysts highlights a deep fracture at the top of the industry. Roughly 37% of these experts warned that the negative impacts of algorithms will eventually outweigh the positives. This anxiety exists because the public often misunderstands what an algorithm actually is. These systems translate human biases and subjective rules directly into code. When programmers write the logic for a platform, they encode their own assumptions about how the world should work. Algorithms represent human opinions and corporate profit motives wrapped in a digital format. As technology scholar Dana Boyd points out, an algorithm means nothing on its own. To work, it needs a specific use case, and it needs data. Think of the algorithm as an empty framework, or a model. To teach this model how to make decisions, engineers have to flood it with historical information, what computer scientists call training data. When fed clean, accurate data, the results look like magic. It parses millions of medical records to diagnose rare cancers faster than a doctor, or, as seen here, outperform human champions at Jeopardy. However, it is crucial to remember that the intelligence of any machine is strictly capped by the purity of the information it consumes. The fatal flaw of machine learning appears when you train an algorithm using historical records that contain decades of human prejudice. Consider predictive policing. If a model learns from arrest records skewed by racial bias, the software predicts more crimes will occur in those same minority neighborhoods. Departments then send more police there, generating more arrests that validate the flawed code. This also happens in corporate hiring. If an algorithm is trained on a company's historically male workforce, the machine will learn to systematically discard resumes from female applicants. The machine serves as a mirror, reflecting our historical societal flaws and automating them thousands of times a second. Beyond historical data, we have to look at current intent. Algorithms are designed to execute the exact priorities set by the companies that own them. When a social media giant instructs its software to optimize exclusively for user engagement and watch time, the algorithm ruthlessly experiments to find what keeps people looking at their screens. The code eventually discovers a human vulnerability. It learns that sensational, polarizing content keeps users clicking longer than nuanced truth. To satisfy the profit motive, the system feeds users a constant diet of extremes. This creates isolated filter bubbles, fracturing our shared societal reality. Modern Western society is built on a model where code increasingly functions as law. We have shifted authority from human judges and loan officers to proprietary machines. Human laws are debated in public and subject to appeals. Algorithmic laws operate inside corporate black boxes, where the internal logic is hidden from the citizens it affects. If an automated system denies you a mortgage or recommends you for a longer prison sentence, there is currently no way to cross-examine the machine to find out why. We've created an infrastructure where life-altering outcomes happen by default. When these systems fail, we're left with real-world damage and no human accountability. Legal scholars and internet pioneers argue that a democratic society cannot accept inequality simply because a computer generated the result. Reclaiming control requires legal requirements for algorithmic transparency, where system logic can be audited. We must promote algorithmic literacy and demand that the engineering teams writing the code reflect the diversity of the people they serve. Technology is a human creation. We must decide whether it automates our worst historical flaws or helps us transcend them.